What's going on, guys? I'm Taylor.
I'm Joe.
This is the We Tell You Show. I forgot the name of our show momentarily. We are there. Sorry for the ums again. We are here on a Friday, as I mentioned, for We Tell You. And today we're talking about racism. Again. But not really racism in the current time. Racism in a alternate timeline. Do you know about this? HBO's new show, Confederate. Confederate, right? Yeah, Confederate.
Taylor messaged me about this, and I didn't respond because I didn't care.
No, yeah.
Because I didn't care. I didn't think it was real.
It was a fake news. More fake news.
Now that I think it wasn't just fake news, is I thought that Game of Thrones.
It comes to two for the writers.
Good show.
Yes.
Critically acclaimed. Makes you think.
Yeah.
How could people not like people from Game of Thrones?
They did. Apparently. Okay, so Confederate, if you don't know, HBO show being developed, chronicles the events leading up to the Third Civil War. In this alternate history, in the Civil War II has passed. The South seceded from the U.S. and slavery is still legal. That's this current story is being told. Alternate history, not real. No one said that this was real or they wanted it to happen. This is one of those what ifs. If you're a Marvel fan, then you read those comics. What if? Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean that Hulk is going to really kill Wolverine or vice versa. It was just a what if. This is a what if this happened. You know what? Sometimes you just want to talk about your friends. You're like, okay, hey, will this happen? What would happen? Where would we be if the South had won, or if the truce had been come like it did, but except the stipulation was that the South was able to secede. And so it really wasn't a win or lose, but the war stopped, but the South seceded, and we have two North. We have North and North America 1, North America 2, or whatever, however you want to call it.
So what if?
A what if show. It's a what if show being developed. Granted, two of the writers are African American, if that matters.
Both of them are?
Two of them, yes, African American.
The two guys for the show, or two?
No, the writers on the show.
How many writers are on the show?
I don't know. Again, our show, we don't do facts. Whatever we can skim on Wikipedia, we're all good there. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. But no, there are two. My apologies. Either they're right or not right, but they're probably show owners. I got that information right. But there's two people involved. They're African American. So yeah, these two gentlemen are very white. They're not African American. Right. Okay, but people are up in arms. People are up in arms over a what if show. What if this happened? And that's stupid. Now, this is a Let Me Rant, or a We Rant, or a Taylor Rant, because I don't have that show. This is just more of a that's stupid. Now, we had a show a couple weeks ago that was people who are trash. This is people who are stupid. This is just stupid.
I saw this the other day where there was this Indian writer, comedian, who was complaining about Apu being in The Simpsons and talking about how Apu's a racist character.
Well, that's a current day subject.
I know, but he's doing a documentary now, like what's wrong with Apu, stuff like that. I mean, you probably heard of it, right?
Yeah, I got it.
And I saw some of his jokes, I saw some of the material, and he was just about, look at the lack of Indian representation we have. We have only a few comedians, only a few people that do this or that or whatever, right? And he says, we also only have a few people, like Mindy Kaling is the first Indian American to get her own show. She got a show. What was it called? The Mindy Project or whatever? Yeah. Uh-huh. Right? Like, here's the thing. I'm not saying that the slavery show is the best representation, right?
Yeah.
However, doesn't it seem like every time that you have a small breakthrough where they say, you know what, there's not enough whatever race on TV.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's a show with whatever said race on TV. Do you ever notice that everyone complains more?
Yeah.
Like way more. Like I never heard as much complaining about why a certain race wasn't on TV until the show that airs with that person featuring that race is on TV. And then all the complaining starts.
So in this show, you were going to give, granted.
I'm just saying that white people are evil. Okay, I'm just saying that.
Like that,
but Tommy Loren, White Devil. But when they are trying and they put you on a show, okay, mind you, Indiana Jones was not the best representation of Indians eating monkey brains. I understand.
Yes,
but when there's now an Asian family featured show on ABC.
Fresh Off the Boat.
And then another Asian
And
family
granted,
featured
Fresh
show.
Off the Boat is it's a term of, it's supposed to be a negative term, Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
And here's it's a comedy, and everybody laughs about it. And it's so funny.
Yeah.
But the name right there at the gate.
The inventor and the writer is an Asian artist chef, and then you have Dr. Kim, right?
Yes.
And then that's another. Okay, so look, if white people are so bad, these writers, whatever you're against, whatever, and they're putting this stuff out on TV, and they're trying, don't you almost give them more credit if they're so evil for even giving it a shot? Like, don't you almost give them more credit? Like, if they're so evil and so bad, don't you also give them more credit? Mind you, talking for two people who aren't white. Now, mind you, I look white. I'm Italian. Taylor is Mexican. Okay, we're very clear about that.
Yes.
We talk about the show all the time. I'm just saying, from my perspective, is it sounds like you're all a bunch of idiots. That's what it sounds like. Because whenever you do a show of a certain race, nothing that comes out of a certain race but complaints about it. But 10 years ago, these shows didn't even exist.
No.
They didn't exist. They weren't even on TV. They weren't even around. Like, the only show about family life were only about white family after white family after white family after white family. Like, so now there's more diversity on TV now than I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I presume that this slave show is not going to cast slave owners or white folks in a positive light.
Yeah, no. It has to stay true to its story. It is a story. It is a work of fiction. This is alternate history. This is not something that says this should have happened. This is just an alternate. It is a what if story. And yes, it is. It's gonna show white and black. But guess what? All the people who say that black people don't get enough roles on TV. This is a whole show where they can have many roles. Granted, they aren't in the best. They aren't going to be like, oh yay, I'm a slave. It's more of like, yes, they're acting. They're acting options for African American people.
But they're not going to be portrayed as evil. They're not going to be portrayed as thugs. They're not going to be portrayed as whatever the bad portrayals in TV that they do.
Yeah.
They're going to be portrayed as underdogs, heroes, and more likely they're probably going to have the North is going to have their own share of heroes.
Yeah.
Right? So here's what I would get mad about. I would get mad at if the South had slaves and all the slave owners weren't white, and then in the North they were all white leaders trying to free an unruly, traditionally black crowd of misfits. Then I would be pissed off. Then I would understand. I'd be like, hey, how come only you depend on the white guy to save everybody? Then I get it. I totally understand, right? But could we see first? Like, could we just see what the shows?
It shows them aired yet.
Could we read a script? Could we understand? Like, what if it's the show that you dreamed about? Whitey bad, and everything Whitey does is bad, and the whole show's about bad white people. What if it's that show? What if it's that show? I'm just saying. What if it's that show? Like, isn't that a leftist dream show? It's just all white evil people that are slave owners getting told how evil they are on a weekly basis, or however the show is.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a good thing, from your point of view? But no, let's just not show it at all. Anything showing anything.
You know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to come out with white privilege. They're going to tie it somewhere in white privilege that you're making us feel bad because you showed us at a time when we were wrong, and even though it doesn't apply to me.
They say that like you can't do it. Like, if you're white or whatever race you are, you haven't gone through it, you haven't been there for it, so you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if there's like a couple of white guys like this, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a room full of 50 black people, right?
Yeah.
And they're all telling these white guys how it is and how it is from their perspective and how to write it down. And what if they listen to that point of view and they write it down? What's bad about that?
They were consulting people.
What if everyone they ever consulted, what if they wanted to tell this story and everyone they ever consulted was of that race that they're doing the story about? Yeah. Then how would it be bad? What if the people that were in the room said, it's okay because I want you, white writer, to understand my perspective. Yes. So here it is. Now shut up and listen. And then they listened. Then how would that be bad?
More jobs.
Like, it's just like bad things happened in history.
Yeah.
Bad things still happen in history. Bad things are happening right now in the world, right? Yeah. And there is more representation from every culture than ever I see on TV all the time. I mean, like literally, like, okay, let me ask something. You're Hispanic male.
That's
You ever watch
true.
Univision?
No.
Okay. Do you know anyone who watches Univision?
Probably my wife's parents, maybe.
Okay. Ask them as a study. Let's ask it. Just a question over dinner. Actually, ask them. Say how many African, Black, Asian, or Indian themed shows are there on Univision?
Oh, there aren't any.
Oh no! I'm just saying. Don't answer so quickly, Taylor. I'm just
No,
saying,
I've been there where they're watching.
I'm just saying.
watching
Don't
TV.
answer so quickly. I'm just saying. How many are there? And I'm saying, like, go to other stations now. I'm not nothing against Univision and stuff like that. I'm just saying that
Something that he knows. Yeah.
I just something.
Or even
It's an
Telemundo.
example.
Okay.
It's an example. Watch Univision Telemundo and then see how much of a shot they give the story of everyone else. And Univision, you might say, oh, well, Univision different because it's, itself is an underdog, or whatever. Univision has higher ratings than major networks now.
Yeah.
It does. It has way higher ratings than major networks now. So at what point, when Univision is kicking everyone's ass, are you going to say it's still the underdog? like it is a major network now. It is not a joke.
Yeah.
Everyone so I'm just saying that you look at that, and then you look at the representation on our television, and I have a program where I can watch many television shows. I'm just saying I am not seeing a lack of diversity on the television viewing options. Okay?
Yeah.
However, on the shows that everyone loves, that are critically acclaimed,
Yeah.
like The Big Bang Theory, it's just all white people and a token Indian guy.
Yeah.
Like all white people. There's not anything else in that show. Right?
I haven't watched the
And
show. Do you watch the show?
I do, and I went to a live taping of it too, and stuff like that. And it's a fine show, but where's the diversity there?
Is it Sia White?
They're picking and choosing their diversity battles, and there's no diversity there. Game of Thrones, another great example. Where's all the Black, Asian, everywhere else on Game of Thrones? Mm-hmm. Just because it's a good show, they're immune to racial criticism. In this fantasy world, blacks didn't exist. They're not there. Where are they?
For anything, I guess you could say the Unsullied.
So that's
But then,
all
and then Unsullied were slaves.
but that's fine though. That's fine though.
It's a good show.
Because it's a good show and you like the show. I'm just saying there's a lot of hypocrisy coming from what you think diversity or what show should have diversity.
Yeah.
So this show, I think if you look at Game of Thrones, you see the portrayal of African Americans or whatever. They're not even Americans in the show. So people of black descent in the show. Okay. That's a negative light, but it's Game of Thrones, so it gets away with it, right?
Yes.
But you can't watch a show about slavery that would maybe make people more sympathetic, because people say this. There's an argument, right?
Yeah.
People say, well, I'm white. Not me, but that's what they say.
Oh, but the quick aside, the two people that were African American on the show were EPs, executive producers.
Okay. So people say this, well, I'm white. I didn't participate in slavery. I didn't have any slaves. So what do I have to do with your problems and how you feel and your ancestors feel and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You ever hear that? Well, I don't know. Since people think slavery was in the past and think that racial injustice was in the past and that it's not a problem we have now in our current modern day, why don't you make a show illustrating that this is how it was and this is how it could be if we still let it happen and didn't have heroes on the side fighting against it, right? Yeah. And we didn't have heroes fighting to free slaves, things like that. And then if we had let this still take place, this is what could be going on right now. And this is stuff that they still have to deal with, even though it doesn't exist anymore. Wouldn't it be great if there was a show like that let people empathize?
Joe. Why is Confederate looked down upon, but Roots is a
I've never seen Roots, but
Roots is all about slavery and is known as a masterpiece, a movie masterpiece.
I'm saying that this could be your modern day Roots, right?
Yes.
This could be the modern day Roots. This could be the modern interpretation for people that don't know what it was like and don't study their history and don't have any empathy for what has taken place. This could be the chance to show that empathy.
And granted, this is alternate history. This just shows them in a way that gets them interested in this subject.
If you had racist white guy A, and he felt sorry for the plight of a character, and people love their characters, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Team Daenerys or whatever, right? What if he looks at this show and he goes, or a lot of people like him look at the show and they go, this guy is suffering so much. I didn't even think that it could still be like that in certain places.
Yeah.
And that it was like that back then. And doing it in the modern day, it really puts in perspective that back then wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
And if it was right now, just 100 or so years later, that I could feel, putting it in my modern perspective, how it may have felt back then to be a slave.
It opens their eyes.
Maybe it opens their eyes. Maybe that's what I think is the worst that can happen. Do you think they're going to watch the show and go, we should have kept it that way. That we should have kept it that way. It was a great idea.
Who would say
no, they're not going to do that.
No one's going to say that.
So
even in Germany, the Nazis or the Germans, my apologies, say that yes, they acknowledge that it happened. It was a bad time in their life. People, they kind of brush it off, but they acknowledge it. They still talk about it.
It's actually, and it's illegal in Germany to deny its existence.
Yeah.
It's actually illegal. You can't do that. And that's the point, is that when people say that you're coddled little snowflakes, this is what they're talking about. This is exactly it. And you should let people have a chance. If white people want to take on, like these directors,
yeah,
they want to take on the ability to tell your story, and no one else is doing it or willing to do it, because look at the guy Lee Daniels, who did what did he do? What was his movie? He did The Butler.
Oh yes,
The Butler.
Yeah.
So he did The Butler, and they're like, oh wow, Lee Daniels is so great, right? And then did Empire, which totally took like 5 steps back for whatever progress he did on The Butler, right? So he's not willing to do it. Other directors aren't willing to do it.
Where's Medea at?
So you don't even get me started. But you have teammates on the other side of the race aisle, willing and able. Don't make them feel like assholes for the attempt. Don't make them feel like idiots. Like, no, you're not part of our club because you don't have the color of our skin. Well, I got news for you. Okay, not everyone's going to have the color of the skin who's on your team.
That's racist.
On your team, do you not understand? Do you not get that?
Yeah,
they're not going to have the color of skin on your team. Okay, so you need to go make friends and allies with people that are different from you. So if these guys are willing and able for the cause, I'm sure there's no bad intent with
and you know what? I'm sure with their names being who they are and being attached to a show so popular, they're bringing people over just based on their names to open their eyes, as you mentioned.
That's right.
About what happened. They may not be as educated as they will. Some kids who grew up watching. Granted, this is a rated R show. They may learn if they haven't learned in that school yet, or if they're currently in that position in the way of learning that whole history, they may become more interested and look more in depth into this. Like I said, more opening the eyes. That's all it is.
Which is something a lot of these idiots aren't willing to do.
No,
but
they're blinders to the world.
Yeah, so that's the whole point behind it, is you're trying to just take this stuff out of history. You're trying to pretend that this stuff didn't happen, and that's a problem, because before something actually happens, everything thinks that everything else is fine, and then we learn from the things that actually happen, right? So, before 9/11 happened, we thought things weren't going to happen to us. Yeah. And then when they happen to you, then you take precautions, or you even have security or other measures to prevent those things from happening again. And just how we know slavery is bad is not because we did not know that it happened, is because it happened and everyone learned that it was wrong and they don't do it anymore. You see, that's the thing, is that you only learn by things that happen and mistakes that you made. You can look down upon slavery now. Everyone can easily. because everyone knows it's bad. But at the time when you were going through it and growing up and it was legal, you might not have automatically been on that side. You might have said, well, I've always grown up this way. How do I know that this isn't right? You can't say for sure that you would have taken that side without actually having to be there. So shut up and get off your high horse. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, right now, people are on the wrong side of history right now on all kinds of subjects. 10 years ago, you might have said, I'm not for gay marriage, and not know that 10 years later that the majority of Americans support it. So quit bullshitting. You are not, you don't have a genie in a bottle. You can predict the future. You don't know what side you would have magically been on or what type of hero you would have been. You're grandstanding to get likes on Twitter.
May I also bring up, you mentioned 9/11. So based on that, we'll curb this for a moment.
I'm stretching here, sorry.
Have you heard the new 9/11 film coming out?
No.
With Charlie Sheen and Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh, shit.
So allow me to please read the synopsis of this movie. On the morning of 9/11, a messenger sings happy birthday to his daughter. A billionaire argues with his wife in a divorce hearing. A maintenance man begins his day, and a young Russian decides she's breaking up with her sugar daddy. When the first plane hits the World Trade Center, these 5 elevator passengers find themselves trapped, forced to band together. They fight against all odds to escape before the imminent and inevitable collapse occurs. Where is the anger to this movie? Why are these people making a buddy movie trying to bring races together? All because and then people are dying everywhere, and they're like, okay, well, these 5 people are gonna be friends, and they're gonna live forever, and kumbaya. Where's the anger right there?
I don't understand what Whoopi Goldberg gets his credibility as like this like hero of like the black culture, and like she's been a multimillionaire for like 30 years, and like
besides people who was in the Charlie Sheen, Whoopi Goldberg, Gina Gershon, Luis Guzman, who's in all the Mexican movies. But yeah, all these people are in this movie.
You can say that though because you're Mexican.
I can.
But Luis Guzman, he is in all of it. It's so funny too because like that is not the representation for a Mexican guy that you want in the movies ever, right?
No,
because he is like
Bruce Davison, the guy from Walking Dead.
Sorry, Luis, but you look like a midget, like you look like the world's tallest midget, like you're like 5'10" and like with a midget head. Sorry to the little people out there. Sorry about that. But
yeah,
it's just.
So where's the anger to that movie?
Where's the anger to that?
Where's the anger to that? Why would you allow? Why would you allow a Confederate show to be mad at a Confederate show, but allow this movie to be made without any backlash because it was a tragedy in our history? Well, because it still was slavery. It's also a tragedy in our history. Yet this one, one killed people. Well, actually, they both killed people, slavery and 9/11. But there's only anger in one area. It's towards slavery. Why? Because it has to do with race. Well, 9/11 had to do with a race.
You want people that don't sympathize or empathize with you on the slavery issue to know more about it. That's the whole point. Is like you don't want them to know less about it or nothing about it. You want them to know more about it and educate them to be more empathetic to what you're talking about. Pretending it doesn't exist doesn't do that.
You can't brush on the rug.
Do you not understand? Do you not get that people have everyday lives to live and they don't care what's going on? And a great way to show them what you're talking about would be a nice package together buddy cop drama or whatever that. Do you not understand that? Lethal Weapon has done more for racial relations in this country than any other film that we have ever had.
I'm too old for this shit.
Yep. Too old for this shit.
Literally. Yeah.
And that's what we tell you. We just told you.
We're too old for this shit.
Yeah, we told you.
We're here.
So there you go. So let us know why we're right or wrong, or why we don't make any sense, or why we can't race pimp our own races out for the sake of jokes.
Yeah.
We'll do an Italian show making fun of Italians, but I think Jersey Shore did that enough for 5 years.
Ayo.
So
they can't get back though. They're gonna do a reunion show.
They're not Italian. They're like from Puerto Rico. I don't understand.
They're spray tan. That's all they are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. On that note, see you later.